Joining me now, Tammy Bruce. She's the president of the Independent Women's Voice and a Fox News contributor. And Tammy is a former member of the left. And I think it's only appropriate then, Tammy, I start with this. Do you think I'm right? Is the motivation behind these issues, the changing battlefield, so that there can always be some platform of moral superiority to lord over everyone else?
You are absolutely right. And also, it's not new. It takes different forms through history. And what you described in your monologue about certain people wanting to make life difficult to force people into certain decisions, that's an actual theory that has been embraced by the left. It's called nudging. And it was brought to the public's attention by Cass Sunstein, who is a advisor to Barack Obama. De Blasio does it here in New York when it comes to traffic, making it impossible to get through the city, to force you to take public transportation or bicycles. We see it in the case with vaccines and, of course, the nature of what your life becomes. It's about using an environment or creating an environment, Will, that allows you to push people into making decisions that suit the left's policy. So the American spirit is one of independence. We don't like to be lied to. We don't like to be abused. We are opposed to the nature of using children to move along policy goals. And this is why, by the way, they're upset with what the feds have done when it comes to the masks. Because up until now, Will, they've been able to point, local officials and state officials can point to Washington and say, oh, there's nothing we can do. Now they can be held to account. And that is what local individuals, everyone watching this program in your town, city, and state must do. You must be heard. It matters. They think that if you're silent, you acquiesce. We must not allow that to happen. And now that it's at the local level, at your college, in your city council, at a store, let them find out, as many media has, that we can't be offended in this way.
Hey, Tammy, let me ask you this. Help me rationalize how voter ID is inappropriate and racist. If you remember 10 years ago, the fight was over Arizona Bill SB 1070, that a police officer cannot and should not ask someone their citizenship status when they pulled over a suspect. That was also deemed racist. But now the idea of vaccine passports, whoa, that's an idea the left can get behind. How do I rationalize that?
Well, you know, it's tough, especially since the border is open and none of the same standards. There'll be hypocrisy and there'll be double standards and they won't care. This is only for those who are able to be, co-opted in a certain sense. So you have an open border, very few people, if any, being tested, not just for COVID, but for measles, for Zika, for tuberculosis, for other things that, of course, destroy people's lives, allowing them to move into the interior of the country. So what you're going to find is that it's going to be vaccine passports just for certain kinds of people. It's not going to be passports for those who are not citizens. All of this is unacceptable. We shouldn't just shrug. The Republicans must step up and refuse to do this. But each of us, we can't rely just, let's say, on the Republican leadership. We must speak up at every level that we have influence in.